Our grammar lesson this week is on phrasal verbs. So that's going to be page 101 of grammar practice. And I want to explain phrasal verbs. A phrasal verb is a verb made up of more than one word. So we call it a phrase because it's 2 words, or it could be 3 words. So some examples of phrasal verbs, we have put on, pick up, cut off. So for each of these, you need both words to make the verb. So put is a different verb than put on. Pick is a different verb than pick up. And cut is a different verb than cut off. So you need both parts to make the verb. If a sentence has an object, the object can be placed in the center of the phrasal verb. Let me give you a few examples of this. Here's a sentence with the verb put on. Put on the jacket. So we're using a phrasal verb, put on. And we can say this, we can say put on the jacket. But we also have the option to move the object into the middle of the phrasal verb. So it looks something like this. Put the jacket on. So we took the object, which is the jacket, and we moved it into the middle between the 2 parts of the phrasal verb. So put on the jacket becomes put the jacket on. So these are 2 correct sentences. So you have a choice. You don't have to put the verb in the center, but you have the option to do that. And that's what we're practicing with on this worksheet. If we have pick up the box, same thing, we take this object, the box, and we move it into the middle between pick and up. So it's pick the box up. And one more here. Cut off the extra fabric. So the object here is the extra fabric, and we move that to the center. And it becomes cut the extra fabric off. So when you listen to native English speakers, you will hear people do this frequently. They frequently move the object to the center of the phrasal verb. So let's take a look at our worksheet here for this week. And so notice at the top it says some phrasal verbs can be separated by an object. So not all phrasal verbs can be separated, only some can be. So this is a good list for you to study. And before you try to do this work, I would first recommend that you take a few days just studying these phrasal verbs and make sure that you know them. So look them up using Google Translate and study them, practice them, make sure that you know these verbs. These are all common verbs in English. And so after you've studied, also keep in mind this instruction here at the top. Remember to use the correct tense. So most of these are in the present tense, but there are a few here that are in the past tense. And so you'll need to use the past tense form. For example, number 8 here, when I was little. That's going to be a past tense sentence. And I saw a few more here. Number 19 is going to be in the past tense. Number 18 is going to be in the past tense. Number 20 is going to be in the past tense, and 22. So make sure you're looking for past or present. And let's just look at a few of these together. Number 1, I'm afraid of the dark, so please something the lights something. So you'll notice here that they're putting the object in the center, and you're going to have to put the 2 different parts of the phrasal verb. So it's going to be very difficult if you haven't studied these verbs. And so now we're going to look at our object for number 1. Our object is the lights. So then we have to think about what do we do with lights. That's the first step. So do we beat up lights? Do we take off lights? Do we put on lights? Do we fill out lights? So this is going to take you some time to choose the correct verb to go for each sentence. And so for lights, I would suggest we turn on or turn off lights, but I don't see that option. So I'm going to have to look more, and as I look more, I see this one here, leave on, off. And that works well with number 1 here. I'm afraid of the dark, so please leave. So I'm only going to put the first word here. Please leave the lights on is the second part, on. So I'm putting the first word here, and then after the object, I put the second word. Let's look at number 2. Don't forget to something the candles something before you go to sleep. So I have to first think, what do I do with candles? Do I check them out? Do I kick them out? Do I pick them out? And as I look at my list, I see what I'm looking for here, blow out. So for number 2, this is my phrasal verb, blow out. And so my sentence would be, don't forget to blow, first word, the candles out, second word, before you go to sleep. So now let's look at one of the past tense sentences here. Number 8. When I was little, a bully used to something me something every day after school. So now we're looking for something that a bully would do to another kid. So let's see. Oh, here I see my very first word on my list is beat up. And I know that that's something that bullies do. They beat up people. So I think that's our verb phrase. So when I was little, a bully used to beat, that's the first word, me is the object, up is the second part of the verb, to beat me up every day after school. That's a sad story. If you don't know what a bully is, you need to look that up. And also, what does beat up mean? You might want to look that up with Google Translate as well. So I think this will be a challenging worksheet for you, but it is also a good one. It's got a lot of really useful words and phrases for you to learn. So take your time and give it your best shot and see how it goes. And when you finish, send me a picture of your work so I can give you some corrections.